Hello everyone, I'm Qisong Wang from the University of Cambridge. Today I'll be presenting our work on stiffness discrimination thresholds for force feedback gloves during volumetric data exploration in virtual reality. Imagine a trainee oncologist pressing into a virtual breast phantom, searching for a tumor that is 30% stiffer than the surrounding tissue. Or picture an aerospace inspector checking composite panels, where a 20% stiffness drop signals structural failure. In both cases, the user is wearing a force feedback glove and relying entirely on what they feel through that device. So the question becomes, are current force feedback gloves precise enough for these life-critical tasks? That is the question that motivated our work. To answer this, we first need to understand what natural touch can do. Under optimal conditions, the human hand can detect stiffness differences as small as 10 to 20%. Trained practitioners can reach as low as 8%. Real-world applications demand this kind of precision. Medical palpation requires 8 to 22%. Engineering inspection needs about 20%. But for force feedback gloves, nobody has systematically measured this. That question mark on the chart is exactly what our paper fills in. So we formulated 3 research questions. First, what are the fundamental discrimination limits through force feedback gloves? Second, does sensitivity scale proportionally with force, as Weber's law would predict? And third, does where you reach in the workspace affect your ability to discriminate stiffness? To answer these, we designed a psychophysical experiment. We used Dexmo force feedback gloves, dorsal exoskeleton devices delivering up to 0.5 Nm of torque per finger through mechanical stops, with 5 independent finger channels and 20 to 50 millisecond latency. We paired these with a Meta Quest 2 headset running at 90 Hz. 23 participants took part, ages 19 to 31. 65% had no prior VR experience, and 96% had never used force feedback before. So these are genuinely naive users. The study used a within-subjects counterbalance design with pink noise masking motor sounds throughout. Participants explored a virtual block divided into 11 segments with a hidden stiffness transition somewhere along its length. We tested 2 reference conditions: low reference at 10% of maximum torque, producing 0.05 Nm, and high reference at 40%, producing 0.2 Nm. Crucially, we provided no trial-by-trial accuracy feedback, so we measured genuine perceptual ability, not learned strategies. Here is what participants actually saw inside the headset. As you can see, the session starts with a heads-up display showing the task instruction, and during each trial, it displays the elapsed time. The participant then reaches out and grasps the virtual block, squeezing along its length to feel for a stiffness change. When they detect a transition, they use their other hand, holding a controller, to select and place a marker at that location. If they believe there was no difference, they place the marker at the far edge of the block. The task difficulty adapted using a 1 down, 2 up staircase. If you get it right, the difference shrinks. 2 wrong in a row and it grows. The staircase terminated after 5 reversals, pushing participants toward their perceptual limit. We analyzed the data in 2 complementary ways. First, per participant staircase thresholds from the mean of the last 5 reversals. Second, population-level 4-parameter Y-bull psychometric functions fitted to all pooled trials. Both methods converge on the same answer, and temporal analysis confirmed proper staircase convergence toward individual thresholds. Let me start with individual thresholds. The median was 26.4% for high reference, jumping to 42.4% for low reference. But the range spans 12 to 89%, a 4-fold spread. and the cross-condition correlation of 0.35 tells us these are consistent individual differences, not random noise. Now the population level picture, and this is the central finding. We fit Y-bowl psychometric functions to the pooled data. For high reference, the J&D is 26.3%, with a confidence interval of 25.4 to 27.6, and R-squared of 0.97. For low reference, it was 48.1%, confidence interval 41.9 to 51.4. Let that sink in. Nearly half the stimulus intensity must change before users can reliably detect a difference at low forces. Applications require 8 to 22%. Our thresholds are 2 to 5 times worse. And critically, both analysis methods converge on these numbers. This is a fundamental device-level capability gap. So why is the gap so large? Weber's law predicts a 1-to-1 ratio of Weber fractions across conditions. Instead, we found 0.263 for high reference and 0.481 for low reference, a ratio of 1.8 to 1. The cause is mechanical noise, gear backlash, cable stretch, and motor friction. At low forces, this noise dominates the signal. This is a hardware limitation, not a human one. We also found something immediately actionable. Peak discrimination accuracy hits 71.4% at mid-reach positions, with a strikingly asymmetric decline. Gradual improvement from far positions at 1.8% per position, but a steep drop toward the body at 8.9% per position. Simply positioning interactions at mid-reach improves accuracy by 17%, with no hardware changes needed. Could users compensate through effort or more careful exploration? Unfortunately, no. NASA TLX workload ratings showed no significant difference between conditions, despite wildly divergent objective performance. Without accuracy feedback, participants simply could not tell how poorly they were doing at low forces. We also found what we call the 3-grasp rule. Judgments were made within 3 to 4 grasps, and more probing did not improve accuracy. Neither self-assessment nor extended exploration can compensate for device limits. What do these findings mean for real applications? Medical palpation needs 8 to 22% sensitivity, and that is out of reach. Engineering inspection at around 20% is also out of reach. Surgical training at roughly 30% is marginal at best. However, coarse haptic feedback and entertainment VR are feasible today. The gap is 2 to 5 times, but the path forward is clear. Here are 5 evidence-based design guidelines from our data. First, amplify stiffness differences to at least 30% and 50% for diverse users. Second, operate at higher forces where the J&D improves from 48 to 26%. Third, constrain interactions to the mid-reach zone for a free 17% accuracy gain. Fourth, go multimodal with visual or audio cues. And fifth, calibrate per user, because 4-fold individual variability demands personalization. To conclude, there are 3 main contributions. First, we quantified the discrimination gap at 2 to 5 times worse than natural touch. Second, the Weber's law violation with a 1.8 to 1 ratio reveals that this is a device constraint, not a human limitation. And third, we showed that spatial optimization, higher operating forces, and multimodal cues provide practical paths forward. Applications must design for the gap, not assume it away. Thank you for your attention. Our paper is published in IEEE Transactions on Visualization and Computer Graphics and presented here at IEEE VR 2026. Please feel free to reach out.